I was thinking about this the other day. When you think about like the history of let's say the history of multicellular life, it's a few 100 million years old, maybe a little over a billion, depending on what you're looking for. But
Hmm.
like animals and plants are maybe a few 100,000 or 100 million years old.
Hmm.
Placental mammals are like 100 million years old. Um,
Hmm.
Maybe a little less,
Hmm.
right? Primates are like 25, or not primates, but great apes are like 25 million years old, right?
Hmm.
Humans are like 300,000 years old, right?
Hmm.
Every iterative step you get, like it's just drastically smaller. Like
Right.
300,000 years compared to like 25 million. That's insane, right?
Yeah.
That's like a tiny, tiny sliver. And then
Yeah.
when you think about modern, well, not modern society, but when you think about like when farming came around towards the end of the Ice Age,
Hmm.
it's like that's like 12,000 years ago, right? That's a
Yeah.
tiny sliver of human history,
Right.
right? And then that 12,000 years, that's way longer than modern society, right?
Hmm.
So like efficient bureaucracies have maybe been around for a couple thousand years.
Right.
Modern society, maybe a few hundred years,
Yeah.
like depending on how you define it. So like
Hmm.
when you think about it that way, like it makes sense why like the 25 million years probably has a bigger impact on how we are and the way we behave than
Definitely.
the 200 years that we've been like doing philosophy and thinking about like these idealistic kind of ideas about how humans are and the
Hmm.
rights of man and that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. Definitely. I completely agree. And like, not to say that those few hundred, yeah, few
Yeah.
hundred years have been, um, they've definitely had their impact. I mean, it's not like they haven't affected the way that we are, but I think that all the time leading up to that is what formed the foundation for it. And so
Yeah.
definitely is what had the most impact.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, one other thought that I've had is like, okay, the Ice Age, it was I guess over the course of like the 300,000 years of human history, like we've been living during an ice age, and there have been minima and maxima, right?
Hmm.
Over the course of that period, right? The last glacial maximum ended like 12,000 years ago.
Hmm.
There were periods in that 300,000 years where there were glacial minima, right?
Hmm.
So, like, there would have been warmer periods, like
Hmm.
12,000 years or 10,000 years or something long,
Yeah.
where things would have warmed up just like they did recently, right?
Right.
And they didn't have I mean, as far as we can tell, they didn't have modern society during those periods.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, I wonder what changed.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it that way, like it's like, okay, during this whole period, there are periods of warming and cooling and this and that. And over that whole period, people are having entire lives. They're trying to avoid freezing in the cold. They're figuring
Mhm.
out how they're going to hunt their next meal. I mean, like there's all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
And that's most of human history, right?
Right.
The vast, vast majority.
Right.
It just seems wild, like when you think about it that way.
It is
And
pretty wild. Yeah, to think that like a majority of humans existing has been very much not the way it is.
today, yeah, and then we look at how things are today and we go like, oh, it's modern society. We have bullies treating people badly because modern society tells them it's okay or
Mm.
something like that. I don't know if that's an ex exact quote from anything, but you know what I
Right.
mean.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, people definitely credit it way too much for it being around for such a short period of time.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I will say I think modern society does do some stuff, like it is responsible for some stuff. So like for example, the reason a lot of people have issues with obesity seems to be because of the diets we live on nowadays,
Hmm.
because it's different than how we lived back then. So
Right.
I mean there's stuff like that, but like a lot of the social stuff, it seems like it's so deeply ingrained because that's just not how things were for the vast, vast, vast majority of like our ancestors' existence.